Perfect.
Awesome, guys. So Jonathan Brazer back, and I get the blessing today of interviewing one of the world's best coaches. That's something that's awesome that I get to do on this platform, is interview the best coaches in the world. And today I have Teresa Nelson with us. And everybody say hi. All right. All right, Teresa. So you've been a coach, a life coach for a while now. And one thing I think is interesting when we get to interview coaches is when they get a chance to work with on different platforms. Like you work with us, and then you're also a coach in another realm. And so some people say, oh, that's divided, but for me, I say, hey, that's demand, right? That somebody.
Absolutely. It's demand, and also I think it keeps us, on our toes, because there's the diversity. Because once you just get in one lane, then you kind of get closed-minded, I think, in being able to like really look and see what's out there and how people need help.
Yeah, that's what I love, is that we get to collaborate and pick up, skills of other coaches as well in doing so. And so it's been a real blessing. So, okay. So I know you've been doing that for a while, but even before that, I kind of checked a little bit out on you, and I've known you for a good long time, but maybe you can help everybody understand, what is Soulfire Challenges? What your founder
Challenges actually was, because for a very long time, I was just health coaching free for basically everybody that I met. It was, sit next to somebody on the bus, or, at the DMV, and voila, all of a sudden something comes out, and it was just, I don't know, it just naturally came out that, they would be telling me something, and just like the stuff would just kind of come to me to be able to help, or just even being that ear for them. So what was funny is when I had Chuck had, kind of inspired me to kind of go down that lane of that there's something there. And so I was like, what am I going to name it? What am I going to name it? So every single time I would do like a workout video and send it to somebody, or write up a nutrition plan and send it to someone, in the background music was always Soul on Fire. Okay. Every single time. And I was like, there's something there. And so that's ended how my, fitness thing ended up being Soulfire Challenges.
I can say that that's one reason that, we sought you out, is you have that presence when what you're talking about just now is somehow it would come up. And I'm just going to tell you, I have a student right now written in his vision. It says that he kind of glows. He makes a presence when he walks in a room. And I can say that about you. And that you're talking about coaching them for free, or helping people for free. And so I've been at an event where I'm special dieting, for some of my goals. And I can say that I had a challenge. I had, some weird kind of cramps in my abdominal area without like having worked my abs in a day or two. And you knew just right to jump in and help me. You're a real giver, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You knew just what was going on, and gave me something to fix it, really. And
well, thank you.
So,
yeah,
okay.
It's amazing. It's a blessing, to be able to see other people, get benefit. So
another story I remember about you is a time where we were in Colorado together, and we were at an event, and you decided we had a free day. And so it was Chuck and my wife, and we were going to go meet you and go up to Pikes Peak, I think was the plan. And so by our thoughts, we were going to go and maybe like ride up or something like that on the tram. And you got there to meet us, and you were like, yeah, I already walked up to the top of Pikes Peak, I think, or something like that.
It's the Manitou Incline, and that was a great day, because oh my gosh, it was fun anyway, the whole event we were at, and that free day came up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I get to take people that I love and respect so much up to one of the things that I just have so much passion for. I just love going up this thing. So anyway, I was like, you guys said a time that you're all going to meet. And I was like, oh, well, I got plenty of time. I can make it down there like 12 minutes. And then I, get my way up there. So I go up it, and then I come down, and I'm like, oh, well, nobody's here. And you guys are like 4 minutes late. This is so strange. So that's when I check on you guys. And then you're like, oh, we're already heading on the train up. I was like, oh, that's right over there. So yeah, it was great. It was really great. So I ended up going up with you guys, but I went on foot. So I was in spirit with you guys.
But didn't you take another group as well? Didn't a
Yes,
group of
I
folks?
sure did.
Yeah.
It was actually a bunch of people that I had met, so I was like, hey, you know what? We're just going to go up. And that was really, really rewarding because there were several people that, wanted to quit. And I was able to talk them through it and, just like, come on, we can make this happen as long as it takes. So it was a great, great time.
In coaching style, okay, I would say that right there shows, and I have that in me. I'm kind of a journeyman, I like to take people on these journeys with me and help them overcome their fears, and like to see that point when they do so, or overcome their stopping points, understand they're harder than they think they are.
Yes.
And I think that you have that drive in you, right?
Yes, I would agree.
So you did it twice that day, or did you do it?
I did it twice that day. Yes.
That's crazy. So what? Just for clarity, the Manitou Incline is basically steps to the top of Pikes Peak, right, or something like that.
It's an old railroad, an old cog railroad path that goes up there. I mean, it used to be closed off to the public, but my grandmother had a house that was like not even like 3 miles away from it. So my whole life I'd been kind of going up there, breaking the law, and just going up it. There were several of us, right? It was like, I did have a bad streak. And, so going up before it was like open to the public. And then when it got open to the public, it was just amazing. And over the last few years, about the last 6 or 7 years, they've like been doing a lot of like rehab and maintenance on it, which kind of took some of the spirit out because of the ruggedness of it. But that's what it is. It's an old railroad. There's approximately, you think I would know this because I've made like well over like 160 trips up the incline.
Wow.
Anyway, I think there's like 2,700 steps.
Wow.
And then there's there's like a false summit that like totally tricks every single person. Even after you've been doing it for years, you're like, oh yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
But it's at
like
such
halfway.
Yeah, well, it's not even halfway.
Tricks you
It's a little bit around that point, but yeah. So, but it's just like it's an extreme incline. It's like literally, figuratively and literally.
You go miles up in your sky, right?
Yeah, sure do. So it's dramatic elevation change.
So I want to put people in perspective now because it leads me to the next question, really, and that is, so this woman that sits in front of you, she's just spent 3 days in an event with us. That was an amazing event. It was empowering. It does energize you, but it drains you too. It's very mentally challenging, And so we wanted to go and have a day of relax and everything. And our version of that was to ride the tram up and see beautiful like Fort Knox and all this, all this beauty and everything. But for her, she decided to like go 2,700 steps ahead of us, up and down, I guess 5,400, I guess, really.
Well, now technically I go up there and then there's like a 4-mile trail that comes down, and I love to run the trail. And like sometimes depending on what time of day I go, then I'll go back up it and then run back down it another time.
Yeah, so like rattlesnake infested, just like paths. And so she just, for fun, she decided to do that twice that day. So.
And then at the end of the event, then I took Wojo and everybody up also. So yeah.
Right, yeah, and then took a group up and helped them overcome their quit point. So I gotta ask you then, what is it, Teresa Nelson, that drives you? What drives you to be like that? You've always been bouncy, boom, 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 like so much energy. I've always been attracted to that in you. So what is it?
What drives me is it's actually perspective. I grew up very well, not wealthy at all, but I had really awesome parents who were connected. And I like to, I don't know, they just had like vision and just a lot of connection to us kids. Health-wise, they were not too healthy, but they were just amazing people. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up just this free-spirited, energetic person. And it was really cheered on because they noticed that was who I was. And then there was a period of time when I was 21 years old. Literally, I was fresh. My birthday's in September, and in October, I went to Mexico, and I ended up in a Mexican prison, and for almost exactly 6 months. And so when I came back, I was like, the spirit was kind of knocked out of me, and it was like something I had to overcome. And then when I finally like reached the other side of like overcoming everything, then it was just the perspective of like, there is no reason why I cannot reclaim that joy. And actually, it's more profound now because I've got the polarity, to go against it. And so it's instinctive now that I just want to live with joy, and that joy radiates, and it makes me make good choices, which give me energy, which gives me more joy, and it just snowballs.
So
So
you
yeah,
were locked up abroad, and that was like a dark time in your life and everything. You had
absolutely.
a little
Yeah, it was a
kind of,
very hard time.
you had to coach yourself through recovering
Yeah.
from that.
Yes, as a
So
matter of fact.
So I was in the Marine Corps, and I spent some time hopping the border down to, go have some fun in Tijuana and everything like that. And it was not so uncommon for some Mexican police officers to pick up some Marines on the way back across the border for having too good of a time, or, very common urinating on the street, stuff like
Yeah.
this. There's a place called P Bridge, and it was called that because of the locals so much being on it.
Oh, and I've been on that bridge. It smells just like it too. It lives up to its name.
But point is, I guess, is that, it was not so uncommon for you to be threatened to being arrested for these kind of crooked cops to take you to an ATM or jail. Like that was your option.
Exactly.
And so, but I can only imagine 6 months in one of their prisons,
Yeah.
because the
I
ATM
was
didn't come up
21
strong enough or
in
something.
Wyoming. Yeah, right.
Wow. Well, quite a situation, quite a experience, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so from there to, coaching yourself through it, and then you're a coach now. So what is it about coaching that like interests you? How'd you end up here? Take me through your career a little.
Well, like I said, I've always been able to, like sense in people, like a need, to have somebody walk alongside of them. And even then I had to like evolve from not being like a codependent person versus a coach, and so that was even an evolutionary thing that I had to do, because I could just kind of sense, when
Mhm.
people need somebody to walk alongside of them. And then another thing too is because people are just like really open,
Mhm.
to me. Like I said, they, just sit next to me, and pretty soon I'd know about great grandma's digestive problems, and
Sure.
they're like it just incredible marriages, children, just all of
Mhm.
this stuff that would just come out of them. And so I just was like, oh, I could totally help you,
Mhm.
or like help get them resources, or talk them through stuff, and have a backup phone call and just say, hey, how you doing? I'm just checking on you. Remember me? I met you. So it's very soul fulfilling. And like I said, Chuck kind of noticed a
Mhm.
little bit of that, and he had said something, just that little comment. And I was like, wow, I should be a coach. And what's funny is that my husband wrote down in one of his vision, things, was like, Teresa should be a coach.
Mhm.
He saw it in me. And so it was just that's what I was doing already, but to actually organize it and put it together, was that's my whole purpose. I do believe it's a purpose.
So you mentioned him a couple times, Chuck, and a lot of people just they know what Chuck means, or getting Chuck for that matter. But what she's referring to is Chuck Bauman, and he's been influential, I'll say, in a lot of the coaches I know becoming better coaches, and
Absolutely.
he's personally coached me, and so that leads me to who has been, you've mentioned him a couple times, so I know him, but who's been an influential coach to you, and why?
Oh, golly. I would
Mhm.
say definitely you and Erica have been, like influence, just watching you and how you've evolved and grown.
Mhm.
That's been very, very, inspiring to me.
Mhm.
And also it keeps me grounded.
Mhm.
And then I would say Ken Holmes is like
Mhm.
one of my superheroes. I
Yeah.
just, there's something that he can sit in a room, and a lot of times he doesn't even have to say anything. And it's like just maybe a 2 sentence, question. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, dude. But yeah, so he's been profound in my life. Absolutely profound. So
I,
yes.
I love those wise people like that,
Right?
Teresa. And I know, and I should picture those moments. And Ken Holmes, I've seen him do it. But you mentioned Erica; she does it all the time, and it's almost like they're channeled, right?
Yeah,
They're a
yeah.
vessel in
Totally
that
agree.
moment,
I
and
agree.
but it's those people that you don't hear much from them. but when you do, you should listen
You
very
do.
closely.
Exactly.
Sit forward. Because so who's coaching you right now? Who's your coach right now?
And Holmes is my coach right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
All right. That's an important question. I always think that people who are considering getting involved in coaching should always ask that of whoever they're considering working with is, if somebody's not out there getting coached, then they don't really believe in the program, right? They're not staying green and growing. And
yeah, because that's a very big stumbling block, for somebody to be audacious enough to think that, you don't need continual learning and coaching and evolving. Everybody has to, because I think, the minute that you stop doing that, you kind of, there's that old adage of you're flatlining, and somebody's putting dirt over on your box.
Right.
So I think every single person should have a coach and, mentor and people that they're ascending to.
I've heard it put, if you're not climbing, you're sliding.
Absolutely.
And so that there isn't really a pause or middle ground or something like that. Just hang out. It's not like if you're not working on getting better, then you're probably getting worse in some fashion.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Well, all right. So what's your vision for your coaching program? What's the
My vision is to come alongside other coaches and holistically, fit the needs of whoever they're coaching. And then also one-on-one coaching. I enjoy that. So a whole myriad, there with really good coaches I want to be with. And then also like the one-on-one people that need individual help. And then assisting, like say, other coaches that have got a student that's got, extra issues, and then coming alongside and like doing some triage work is what I call it, so yeah, that's what I'm interested in. And then just definitely, like I said, walking alongside of people, exactly where they're at, because you can't say, oh, you should think like this, and then I'll come over and coach you. You have to meet the people exactly where they're at.
Well, that's great. And I know that in the past you've been a mentor. You're coming alongside people and helping them with whatever challenges that they have. I know you have some specialty in fitness and in nutrition.
Yes.
And we've actually done some calls together in the past about keto and carnivore diets. And what are you on right now? What are you
right now? I just passed my year in October of carnivore. And
only meat.
I had one cheat. I cheated with avocado and baby carrots. So that was my big, but other than that, yeah, carnivore for over a year now. And I love it so much. I absolutely love it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's a step beyond keto. So it's keto, but just a little more narrow in what your choices are. So it's animal based.
I think we'll have to definitely have a discussion about that in the not so distant future. Maybe have a call on it.
That'll be a great.
I'm going to ask you to coach me and the room, because I heard some controversy recently, and so I want to ask you what your opinion is about this.
Absolutely.
That's about getting into ketosis, and that one, bulletproof coffee actually can be a factor in knocking you out of ketosis. Yep. So the fact that it does have, with the butters and the amino acids that you may be adding, those two things, studies have, this guy I stumbled across went on. Now my first exposure to, people telling me about keto said, no, you're good with the coffee. It's not going to do it. And so it could be that was messing me up all along, right?
Yeah, very well could be.
Okay. Yep. So coffee straight, not really a challenge. No calories in that, right? So if you don't put any sweetener, nothing, no creamer, nothing else in
it. Anytime that your enzymes have to get down to business in your stomach, you're breaking the fast.
Okay. So that being the case, one thing with this hard 75 that I'm on right now requires me to drink a gallon of water here while I even visit with you. One thing that helps me not to just stay super thirsty is if I put salt in my water and lemon. Is that breaking my fast?
That is not breaking your fast. As a matter of fact, it puts you into a better state because you're hydrating all your cells. You can, sorry about that. but it'll essentially feed your amino acids and your electrolytes, so that you don't get thirsty. It's a little more scientific than that, but essentially when you're hydrating with like electrolytes, and I even put like a little bit more there. I put, potassium chloride, which is basically like no salt is the easiest way to get that. You can buy electrolyte, like stuff at the health food store and like put it in
So
your
rather,
water.
you're telling me to put something else in my water than
Yeah,
just
yeah,
this.
absolutely.
I've been putting sea salt and a slice of lemon that I squeeze in each
When you're
bottle.
putting like too much salt, salt is like good for you, especially when you're keto or fasting. Salt is very, very beneficial because your body's using a lot more of it to, just generate the energy. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that that's the system that it switched over to. And so, but when you're putting, salt in at a regular level, you have to make sure that you're balancing it out with potassium. And then potassium likes to hold hands with magnesium. So you can do, potassium, magnesium, and the sodium inside of there, and then a little bit of lemon. Now, if it's too much lemon, again, you'll get those digestive juices going, and you'll break the fast. So yeah.
So what's too much? Like I cut a lemon into 8 slices, a single lemon,
Okay.
and I put one of those in.
You're
And they're
fine.
not
You're
huge.
totally fine. So if you're doing like the whole lemon during a time, then you would completely break the fast.
And then, so you're telling me magnesium and potassium. Is there a mix that I could buy off the shelf that's like
You could, but to be honest,
Yeah.
it's just as effective to make your own.
Okay.
And then I could recommend some eye stuff for you too.
Something's going on. I think what I do is I put coconut oil on
Aha.
in the morning. I think I
And
rub
you
the
got
oil
it down in there. Yep.
in my eye, and now it's probably not as jelly, or not not as liquidy, and starting to bother the tear duct there. So
That's exactly what's going on.
okay.
So,
What would you say besides that energy is going to make you, what makes you different than other coaches?
what makes me different is that I appreciate people's honesty when they mess up, because a lot of people, when they first get into coaching, they're not 100% raw at the very beginning. They'll sit there and kind of spill their guts. But when it comes down to the accountability part, it's a little rough for them because now they're fearing the judgment, and they're just timid. And
Sure.
so what sets me apart is that I established that boundary right there, that, you can tell me whatever, and I'm not going to hold a judgment against you. There is accountability, but it's not punitive, and it's meant to make you grow. And I adapt that accountability to how you operate as a person. That's what makes me different, is I don't have a set system. I have things that I believe are true, and I apply them to the person as they'll be able to receive them.
Okay. That's solid. So you're going to customize the program for the individual and get them to open up to you as fast as possible. That's the thing I see that ever, maybe holds students back. I actually just had a retreat, and I've been working with this gentleman for, I don't know, a year and a half easily, and maybe probably a little longer. And he finally let his wall down, and it's hard, like, because you want them to so often, and it really came from me being more vulnerable in the room than normal.
Absolutely.
As a coach, it really helped to facilitate it. I wouldn't say it came from there, but I'll say it helped to facilitate it. Those times when you, as a coach, you're questioning, man, do I share this? Like, I would share it in my room where I'm a student, but as a coach, do I share this? Sometimes it just allows your room.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another growth, thing that I had to learn, is that just when I'm coaching somebody doesn't mean that I'm so far above them. That's why obviously I'm getting coached. So if you can be honest and, open, it's amazing. Doesn't matter if you got some messy stuff to share, with them. I think it makes you relatable, and it ups the trust. And, as long as you're being genuine with what you're saying, and, you're telling them something's appropriate for their situation and not turning it over to you, then I think it absolutely deepens the relationship, and it takes it to that next level where they can really start making those breakthroughs.
Right. That's what we want for people, is for them to, get to their issues and overcome them and create the new version of themselves. And that's what we're really good at helping them, is setting that plan up for, what the new version of them is going to be.
Exactly.
So how to get there. Well, so here's a question. You're involved, you coach, and so you got a group there, and I know you've been involved with some other coaching groups besides you get coached in a group. So tell me how, between one group and another that you've experienced, how's cultures different? Where do you think they come from in the room?
Oh, golly. Okay, you mean cultures individually or cultures as the group together?
Yeah, like cultures, like how one room versus another would be culturally different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, I think it's the collection of the people. I also think it's who sits at the head of the room, the coaches, and the environment that they set. And each time, we like have meetings, especially it's amazing how Ken does it. He reminds us why we're all there is to not be buddies and pals in the room. You're not obviously supposed to attack people or anything,
Right.
but I just love how he does it. He sets it up to remind you that we're here to push everybody to grow and to see those blind spots, so I love how that functions. And then you see over in some other groups where, the coaches are a little more rigid and is teaching like at the students. In some environments, I think that works really, really well. But I think collectively as a group, if you're all growing, even the coaches together, then I think that's a huge benefit.
I think that's a great takeaway. And I have opened my room up like that, but I can't say I did it every single time. And that you got so much out of it, even to this day, is a good reminder. We do some things that work so well, we stop doing them. Right. So, but that's a very good point, is that's what makes us work so well together, is
Absolutely.
you can facilitate a great room with students, right? But it's all of them coming in with their game face on, ready to play 100% in towards helping each other raise the tide, right?
Yep.
And everybody better. So I find in one group to the next, it's a little bit how they talk to each other is based on what they're reading, what they're working on.
Oh, yes. Well, and I have to tell you, I'm in another group where co-coaching with some other coaches, and I have a power team, and it's one of the coolest things ever. And that we have an approach where we've broken down, into like, say, the love languages, the DISC test, and then also now the Enneagram. And we actually don't just keep this information to ourselves. So we as the coaches have that pinpoint. We hand it out to the entire room, and we make everybody else learn it and engage with each other and talk to people how they receive stuff. And that has been one of the coolest things ever. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was to say that would kind of accelerate or, catalyst the room.
It does. It does.
If somebody, because just how it works in rooms is somebody's had that experience in their life, and people from all walks of life, and they've already been through it, so they can offer you advice. Sometimes, the messes that we're given were so that we can help somebody else with it. And it's our not handling it right or handling it right that allows us to give advice, right?
Exactly.
They say anybody who's an expert, they already failed every which way of doing it, right? Like,
exactly. Ask me how I know.
Right. You think about those guys who do those tricks on the skateboards and everything and can triple flip or whatever. They broke every bone on their body before they landed that thing, right? So I think that's often why we're given our little messes, and I'm able to embrace them or welcome them a little more now, because I know that they're giving me to help somebody. So yeah, we don't have to have it all together. If we hadn't been through it, we couldn't really assist you.
Exactly. And giving you a little bit of a perspective on that is that that the coaching that I've gotten, and then also the experience, like in my experience in Mexico, I also, pro bono help do like a lot of border rescue work. So I've got like where I'm out in the field actually backing up Border Patrol, and then where I'm also got organizations where I take women and younger adults through like a recovery program. And so I just graduated, 3 women, And the cool thing is that I applied like the coaching technique and also my personal experience. And this has been like one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. So I graduated 3 women through who now have jobs, apartments, and life visions. And for me, that's absolutely, I mean, it was life altering for me to be like, oh my gosh, this whole thing works. So you're right, you know, collectively our experience, but then all of a sudden looking at the other people that are doing stuff well, which would be an example, the coaching that I get, and being like, hey, you know what, we're going to apply this over here as this whole, you know, system. And it worked amazingly. And I'm going to use it again and again and again every single time we come across it.
So those 3 women, that was on a volunteer basis?
Yes, it's all volunteer.
So, guys, I just want you to hear this. If you can't hear this woman's heart, she's in the right field because, you know, frankly, you got to earn a living, right? But she takes care of people even who can't, you know, who can't do that right now.
Absolutely.
And so that's just love. And that's been some of the gap that, you know, that's my next question is, what do you think the biggest gap in this industry is? And that's been the answer that I've been given in the past, not to feed you too much, but
yeah, I think it's the heart of the coach, in all honesty. That if you're just giving out information and how-tos, then you miss the whole human experience. You know, and I mean, whether it's because we've had students, it's been rough, you know, they're like bears and they bite you off every single time. But, you know, you just keep coming back in with different protective gear on and, you know, and letting them know you can bite me as much as you want. I'm still here because we're a team. And, you know, it is totally different when your heart is in it and I'm invested in not being better than you and not being a know-it-all, but actually profoundly like walking beside you and helping you with what you see your life, what you want it to be. I think that's what makes all the difference in the world for a good coach, a coach that is invested, you know, in people 100% and the people that they're serving. And again, like I said, there's a balance of not getting in and doing all the work for somebody, you know, and having that accountability, but still being there with people and for people is, you know, that's the whole missing element in this entire industry.
Right. You can't tell them right what to do. You can't try to be giving out information. It's great to know it, but it's better to help them uncover it. And if you have a talent at that, you become a great coach. That's
absolutely 100%.
If you say it, they question it, but if you can get them to say it, then they own it, right? That's theirs.
Exactly. You know, and one of the best things is like, you know, having somebody that's got a problem and you might have the answer. The easy thing would be to just give them the answer, you know, but the better part is to ask them a question that gets them to come up with the answer, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, a light bulb turns on in them and it empowers them incredibly.
So, I got good at this years ago in my sales career. We used to play ping pong this way, right? You could never answer somebody's question. You always have to answer. So they say, hey, do these windows come in white? Oh, would you like them in white? Right? Like, you know, they only come in 3 colors. Yeah, they come in white. You want me to place the order? And you gotta, would you like them to be in white? You have to operate, like, get them back like this. So anyway, but yeah, so it is leading them with good questions. So what do you think has been your biggest challenge then as a coach so far?
My biggest challenge was going at one specific pace. I was like, let's just go, you know, because I'm a go-getter. I'm always in motion. And so I just, you know, made the assumption, oh, if somebody wants me as a coach, they want to go, go, go. So it was, again, it was adapting to the person, but actually like looking at myself like, you know, you're adapting, but you're not all the way adapting. So I had one student and she was a health client and oh my gosh, I can tell you when I pulled myself back to her pace, exactly, you know, and slowed myself down, it was humbling and it was completely, you know, it was challenging and humbling at the same time. But it taught me a tremendous amount to not be assumptive at, you know, why somebody wants me as a coach.
So that's real growth. It sounds like as a coach is instead of pulling them up to your speed to be a customizable for their situation coach, you're gonna have to, adjust your speed a little bit to them to get their pace. And
you know what's
interesting.
funny is now she's like up to my pace, because I stepped back to hers, and so she's ready to like hit it harder and go faster.
That's one word, I was talking with my dad the other day, and that's one word that is a word that I need to make an adjustment in my vision of a sentence. It's around the pace I want my life to be. So you'll hold me accountable for that. All right.
All right. I will do that.
All right. So we talked about the gap. So and how cultures are built. So what are you reading and learning right now? What are you on?
It's funny is that I am back into getting another level of mine because I'm a master herbalist. So right now I'm like super duper studying, more herbalism and going into some Aruvic medicine. So, that's mostly where my learning is going. And then also I'm learning more about epigenetics. And that's absolutely fascinating me because I think that goes into like even the self-development portion of stuff. So that's mostly where my reading is at right now.
Touch on that a little bit more. Epigenetics, for those people out there that don't know the word.
Epigenetics, in a nutshell, is basically being able to change your physiology with certain methods and language and behaviors. So you're just basically taking your environment and structuring it to benefit you, is the easiest way to describe that.
So Joe Dispenza would be a guy that does
absolutely.
A lot of
that's yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're reading pretty advanced, good stuff. I look forward to see what you come up with and create out of it as well. So we'll have to do another one of these in the not so distant future because I really love seeing your face and letting people get to know. If you don't get introduced and people don't know how good of a coach that you are, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and so these kind of ways facilitate a way for us to pose the question and get you to talk about yourself.
Absolutely.
But I think anybody out there can see that if you need some help, that her experiences and her heart are going to get you to your next level.
Absolutely.
So thank you for spending this time with me. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you think it's important for someone to know?
No, as a matter of fact, I think you covered everything pretty darn well.
Okay.
Just, that nothing is off limits in my world. I get all up in people's business, health-wise, because it's important to see the whole picture. I'm not a doctor, but, I do hold certain, certifications and degrees that I've got a scope that I'm allowed to stay inside of. So in that respect, and I think your health has a tremendous amount of levity over the rest of your life. So like I said, nothing is off limits, and it doesn't matter whether, you're in a marriage situation and you have some really hideous things to say about your spouse. If you don't pick up the rug, you can't see all the dirt underneath it. And you're not able to clean it. So there's, no judgment, and I'm completely approachable and willing to help. I absolutely love it. It's my heart, so.
Yeah, that's some really solid advice. Is the challenges that come out in these rooms when you can be vulnerable enough to share, you shine light on it. Like you said, you lift the rug up, and that gives you a chance to address it. A lot of times, getting it in, getting in front of it is getting it behind you, right?
Exactly.
And so that's that getting the light on it is an important thing. And people keep their walls up, and some walls are just built stronger than others. So we get it, but do yourself a favor and, bring your struggles, because when you're raw like that, then you can have more growth. If you take that massive action, you're going to have more growth. So,
pretty much.
Thank you. I look forward to doing some more collaborations with you. We'll have to do a call soon. I'll let Dee know about the carnivore and how that's going.
Yes.
I do have another student that's doing that right now. And
Oh, good, good. That's totally awesome.
In the gym. So he's doing that. And then, so I think that'll be great. And then I still really badly want to do some kind of adventure race with you. I know that you still do those. When they turn them back on in the world,
right?
I can get back out and do something like that. So,
yes. We'll have to do that.
I don't know if I got an Ironman in my future, but I definitely probably got some.
Maybe you'll have to toy with that after your 75 hard is over. Because actually, right, you go into, like, I think it's phase 1 is after your 75 hard, and it gets a little more dicey for you. So right, we'll have to see where you're sitting with that.
Yeah, I could probably use your advice. So one of my students, this could be an announcement, but one of my students, about 6 other besides him and me got together, and we're all taking on the challenge with them. And I think next November we're going to be in a physique competition. So so that means board shorts, not thongs or anything, but it's still exposure that that is not in my vision. But what is in my vision is really helping my students to make breakthroughs, and if it's on a journey that helps a bunch of people along the way, and we all look calendar ready at the end, well, that'll be something, right? So that'll be something. Yes. So you should probably join that with us. They have a ladies section. If anybody, you would take that challenge. So, all right, guys, thank you very much, everybody, watching this. And Miss Teresa Nelson, appreciate you.
Yeah. Have a blessed day. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.